All right, guys, what's going on? Welcome in. So there's been a lot of talk, a lot of rumors lately about Jon Gruden potentially coming back to the NFL as a head coach. I actually watched an interview the other day where at the end of the interview, Gruden said, I'll be back. I'll be back in regards to him coaching in football again. Now, why this is relevant, the New York Jets desperately need a head coach. And I think one of the more desired traits in head coaching candidates specifically for the New York Jets is head coaching experience, right? Someone who's been in that seat before, someone who's had some success, had some failures, and can reflect on those times to hopefully put together a better performance in his second gig, similar to Bill Parcells years and years and years ago. There's a small fear that a first-time head coach might not understand, there's going to be a learning curve, right, first and foremost, but also with the ownership structure with the New York Jets, Woody Johnson, Chris Johnson, who's it going to be? You don't want to be in a position where the owners are interjecting, making decisions for you. Personally, you want to have that experienced head coach that can say, hey, you know what? I've been down this road before. I don't think it's going to work out. Here's my better idea. Now, personally, I'm not fully against first-year head coaches. I'm still going to be interviewing them, 100%. Liam Cohen. There's so many guys out there that I feel like it's worth a call to pick up because you never know who's going to be the next Kyle Shanahan. You never know who's going to be the next Sean McVay or Sean McDermott. Matt LaFleur, Zach Taylor's another one, right? They get their job and they just don't look back. But I would prefer a guy with head coaching experience. I'm just not going to rule out anyone. I just don't feel like the Jets have that luxury at this point in time. But again, going back to Jon Gruden, someone who has a Super Bowl championship. Now, the game is a lot different today than it was back in the early 2000s. And I think Gruden would come in with positives, but I also think there are some cons or some negatives. So, of course, we're going to talk about both sides of the coin here. Let's start with the positives. Number one, you want to talk about, again, just having that discipline, having that accountability within the locker room, within the organization. Gruden, I feel as though, will bring that, especially if he interviews with the Jets, especially because he's out of football right now. He can look at the stars all over the roster, and the team looks god-awful. They look horrendous. Game planning is off, fundamentals are off, there's finger pointing, it's just one issue after the next, and Gruden, right, it's clear as day what the issues are with this Jets team. You could just be a fan of football, watch the New York Jets and say, hey, you know what, this team needs X, Y, and Z. Gruden can pick up on that, obviously, right, a very, very, very smart football mind, and that's kind of been his MO. He's always been, he's been hard on his players. He expects a certain standard, and I think bringing someone in like that would provide that pillar of accountability in a sense. Someone who loves football and is going to do anything it takes to get the win. I think the second positive is because he is away from football. Clearly, the Jets don't have to request permission for it's not like again, Liam Cohen or Brian Flores or Cliff Kingsbury where it's this waiting game. We have to wait for 2 more months until the end of the season to get them into the building to interview. No, the Jets can talk, and same goes with Rex Ryan, right? Because there's a lot of Jets fans that want Rex, or at least want the Jets to interview Rex Ryan. Gruden could very well have a staff put together. Gruden right now could, behind the scenes, have a 100% fully stocked and loaded staff and can talk to the Jets or the Saints right now. And why is this beneficial? Because if Woody and Chris Johnson are meeting with Jon Gruden and they get a good vibe, right? They think it could work, and Gruden can start putting together his staff, and we're already just a leg up on the competition. Now, of course, I don't want the Jets to make a final determination until they speak to numerous candidates here and really kind of cast a wide net. I don't want the Jets to only interview 2 or 3 guys. I want them to be interviewing everyone that they possibly can to really kind of vet the process and figure out who is exactly going to be the best fit. Again, every single guy you talk to, every single one are going to have positives. But for the most part, every single one, they're going to have some negatives that you can point to. And Gruden is the exact same. So I like how the Jets can get a leg up kind of on the head coaching idea, right? Where they could potentially go. And hey, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. They could just cross him off the list and not waste time once they hit the off season. So I think that is another big positive. And again, Gruden can build that staff right now, like in the works. And they could establish a vision or talk about where the team is expected to go moving forward. I think the last positive is Gruden is an offensive guy. Background in quarterback development, background in quarterbacks completing footballs at a high percentage. There's always, when it comes to a Jon Gruden offense, right, heavy utilization of the tight end position, there is like a constant complexity to the Gruden system. You never feel like he's going to get outworked by anyone, not a defensive coordinator, not another offensive coordinator. And for a Jets team right now that just looks completely anemic, really on both sides, really on all three phases of the sport, offense, defense, special teams. But offense has always been the big issue with this team, just throughout the years. And with this uncertainty about Aaron Rodgers playing in 2025 or not playing, retiring, or 1 foot in, 1 foot out the door. I know he had the comment of, he at this point he would like to come back. But I mean, what is Rodgers going to say? Just in a random midweek press conference? Nah, I'm not going to do that. This is the last ride here. I don't think so. I think that it's a conversation for after the season. Personally, I'm not really putting a ton of stock into what Rodgers said a couple days ago, but again, in the event that Rodgers is here, I think Gruden's personality and his desire for, again, perfection on offense, I think he's really going to coach Aaron hard, and I think that's what Aaron needs, even whether he likes it or he doesn't. I think if you look at the organization right now, it's Aaron's team. He does everything. He's co-GM. All these players are brought in because of Aaron Rodgers. Hackett is still here because of Aaron Rodgers. I'm over it. I'm completely over it. And I think Gruden would, again, if Rodgers remains here for 2025, Gruden would step in and be able to manage his personality and actually coach him hard. Now, of course, we do have to talk about the negatives or the cons here, right? Which is, it's not like Jon Gruden, is putting together these 12, 11, 10-win seasons, or was most recently with the Raiders. He was 4-12, he was 7-9, he was 8-8, and then his last season there, 3-2. And if we think back, he was given an enormous contract from Mark Davis and the Raiders. What was it, like 10 years, $100 million? So, you have the one losing season, but it is what it is. It's difficult. I don't care who you are, for a first-year head coach to step in and just completely turn things around. But in those years following that first season, right, in that second year, in that third year, you just never got the sense that they were the top of the division, that they were ever really a threat to go up against Kansas City. And of course, my expectations for this team are not 13 wins, 12 wins in 25 and 26. I think when I'm picturing the next head coach of this football team, the next general manager here, I want program builders. I want guys to accept long deals, longer contracts, and say, you know what, this is who we are. This is who we're going to be. This is where we're going to get to. And it's not going to be an overnight fix. It's not going to be, this hype machine, signed a bunch of free agents and, try to win over storylines and ESPN first take topics. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want a real solid long-term plan for sustained success. So I think if Gruden gets the job, immediately there's going to be attention. Immediately there's going to be a lot of eyes on the organization. Immediately there's going to be pressure to win. If, let's just say, the Jets finish like how the Raiders were when Gruden was there, 7-9, 8-8. Let's just call it, 9-8 one year for the Jets, 8-9, the other year. Is there going to be pressure? This is not good enough. We're not making the playoffs. We're not challenging Buffalo, whatever it is. And he gets let go. I know this is all hypothetical, way too far down the rabbit hole here. But at the same time, do you envision Jon Gruden being here for the next 5-6 years, signing a 5-6 year contract and really building the program? The answer might be yes. I have no idea. But I do feel as though with an organization that is just like a hype machine, again, there's constant talk, but there's never like the walking of the walk, if you will. It's well known across the league. I mean, we could talk to other fans. We could just throw on any sports show. It's all the same when it comes to the New York Jets. Could Gruden get us out of that mold? Perhaps. But could he keep us back in there, right? Where, the expectations from everyone are playoffs or bust, playoff mandate, first place. We're going to continue to talk about how good we are. And we're going to be finishing right around the middle of the pack, or finishing with that 11th pick, that 13th pick, that 15th pick, and just kind of living in that mediocrity. I'm okay finishing 500 if it is a means to a better future. You know what I mean? I just don't want to be continuing to live in these all-in types of years where we're pushing money into the future and we're trading away draft picks and we're pressed up against the cap, and then we're just finding ourselves in this constant churning of hope, of win now, of everyone crossing their fingers saying, hopefully this is the season where we finally just turn the corner and all these vets work out. So again, who knows? Maybe Gruden wants the long-term rebuild. Maybe he's not really into, the big name star free agents immediately. Maybe he wants to get 2-3 draft classes under his belt before we start building. So anyway, let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. It's going to be an interesting discussion about Jon Gruden. And, you can make a lot of these same arguments for Rex Ryan as well, because he is out there. The Jets can talk to him. Former head coach. He's had success. So a lot of similarities here. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. I appreciate it. And as always, go Jets.